Well, hello there, and welcome back into a brand new edition in a brand new month of the Last Word on Sports Media podcast and live show. Hello there, as we do this via the technology and social media live, but perhaps you're also hearing us as well in podcast form on the Last Word on Sports Media podcast feed. I'm the somewhat competent host, TJ Rives. He is Mike Gill, riding shotgun with me here, co-hosting the program. Mike, based in the Atlantic City area with 97.3 ESPN and the Sports Bash every afternoon. But he's as much of a sports media connoisseur as I am. Good to be back with you. Glad you survived off Labor Day weekend. No black armband for you for West Virginia. Look, if you can take any consolation, there are a lot of programs that are hurting a lot worse and feeling a lot worse than West Virginia right about now. I know you're hurting for the Mountaineers. But anyway, good to be with you off Labor Day weekend, Mike Gill.
Yeah, rough weekend there, but as we're going to get into, not a rough weekend if you're a college football fan. The ratings were banging, right? The ratings got off to a huge start this weekend for that. We got some thoughts on, though, college football and all the other leagues, I think, missed major opportunities all weekend long. It could have been an even bigger weekend, TJ. I know we're going to get into that throughout today's show.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, plenty to get to and to go over. Again, by means of just keeping all of this straight, we're doing this as a live stream video, social media, Mike's Twitter account at Mike Gill Show, my Twitter account at Buck Sideline Guy. We love doing this kind of just in long form, in real time, and we're going to have a blast with doing that. We also do this show as a podcast. And so on the podcast here, you have already heard from Gerald McCoy, by the way, who will now re-debut for his second season on the NFL Game Day Morning Show coming this Sunday with Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner and Steve Mariucci. 4 hours, Mike Gill, of preview here on the NFL Network. So again, on the podcast, we just got to keep all this straight. They've already heard from Gerald McCoy before you and I. If you're watching us live on video, you've got to wait for the podcast when it's out overnight. And did I lose anybody, Mike? Did I lose you? The podcast itself is out later on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Yep.
That's where you'll hear the Gerald McCoy interview in full. Yep. The former number one pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have a great relationship with him. And McCoy is a fascinating guy, knowledgeable guy who told us, if you were with us on the audio pod, he not only wants to do TV, he wants to be an actor and may end up in like a Marvel movie as a superhero or a supervillain as a goal. So you find out fascinating things like this from the newsmakers that we will bring you on the Last Word on Sports Media podcast feed, because we'll get announcers, we'll get analysts, we'll get insight, etc. They got to be subscribing to this feed, Mike Gill. But Gerald's a fascinating guy.
It's kind of if you're one of those people who like to listen to a podcast on your commute to work, you can get us the audio version. If you're somebody who works from home and likes that visual aspect, we offer that as well. We're going to do individual interviews. We'll have group interviews. This thing is just kind of getting off the ground, and it's just going to keep growing and growing. So make sure you guys retweet, hit the like button. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, we're going to have more ways to find us live as we continue to grow the show, but it's with your help. The more you guys like, rate, review, subscribe, the more we're out there and in front of people. And then, we'll have some live options. Our friends, Last Word on Sports Media, we're going to be having a YouTube platform there. BFA Sports on their YouTube channel. It's a local production company near where I am. You can watch us on that platform. So there's a ton of ways that you guys can start kind of consuming this, because, as we know, college football started, the WNBA has exploded, the NFL is underway, missed opportunities, announcers. It's like an amalgamation of the announcer schedules podcast. I always have thoughts there, ratings, media. Let's get into it.
Yeah, there's so much to go over for sure. So again, thank you. And make sure you're following or subscribing on the podcast feed, and then finding us on social media and through YouTube. Just look for Last Word on Sports Media. That's where Mike and I are hanging out with the guests, etc. All right, enough of the promoting and the bloviating about where we are and what we're doing. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of some sports media topics off the weekend. The biggest one has to be if you have DirecTV, you no longer have Disney or anything with it like ESPN and ABC or even the Disney Channel or anything else that they have. It went dark on Sunday night, Mike, right before the Southern Cal LSU football game. The plug was pulled by Disney on their end because they don't have a long-term agreement with DirecTV. So this is not unlike what they did a year ago with Charter/Spectrum users, where there was no agreement with Disney. And remember, it was a Thursday night football game with the Florida Gators and Utah. They pulled the plug right before kickoff of that game, and the plug stayed pulled. Again, this is everything ESPN, all the channels, and even if you have the SEC network, Mike, the ACC network, ABC TV and all of their programming, the Disney programming, the Disney Channel, they have 2 or 3 Disney channels, etc. All of it yanked a year ago, and they left it yanked a year ago all the way up until the Monday night game with the Jets and the Buffalo Bills in New York, which I kept saying this time roughly 52 weeks a year ago, they're not going to preempt Monday Night Football. They will work out some kind of deal. All right, a lot of anger, a lot of people upset. They don't have ESPN and ABC on their DirecTV. Do you believe, as I do, this is only a temporary back and forth? And by the time we roll back around to this weekend of college football and the Monday night opener with the 49ers and the Jets, it's the Jets and Aaron Rodgers again, this will be resolved. What do you, this is, if you're on the video stream, this is what you're currently seeing right now from DirecTV. We have no deal. Mike, do you believe with me that this will get resolved at some point later this week or this weekend? It's a mess if you have DirecTV.
I'm torn on this one for 2 reasons. One, you see this happen a lot right around the new year, right? When contracts are up, it's like a new year thing. We heard about this right around New Year's last year, and they ended up getting the deal done. It's one of those tactics. However, you have to keep in mind, TJ, that ESPN is looking to launch their own platform. Just listening to Jimmy Pitaro on with John Arand on his new podcast called The Varsity. And he was talking about how they have this new platform that they want to get off the ground. So if you are ESPN, are you saying, you know what, we'll bite the bullet on DirecTV? I know that's going to make some people mad, but first off, I don't even know who still has DirecTV. Like I'm not a DirecTV guy, so the platform to me seems a little.
How about you don't even have to have a satellite dish? And they're marketing on this point. You don't have to have the DirecTV satellite dish. It's essentially now an app.
Yes.
It's a streaming app just like everything else. And I'm with you. Once they lost the Sunday ticket, all the NFL games, I think a lot of their audience has gone bye-bye. But they do have deals with the network broadcasters like ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. They have deals with them. They're paying them. But in this case, they couldn't work out what to pay ESPN.
Well,
but I'm with you.
ESPN is in a situation where they have their own platform coming out. Do they want to continue to spread their stuff out on other platforms where people say, I don't need your platform, I'm already getting you on DirecTV? Well, if I pull you from DirecTV, are you now more apt to go get my ESPN, which they are calling the flagship, is kind of what Jimmy Pitaro mentioned on John's podcast, is they're calling this the flagship platform, which is their over-the-air signal is basically going to be on this platform of ESPN, the flagship, which is going to be priced somewhere between ESPN Plus and this venue thing that's not off the ground either. But Jimmy believes that they will win that case. But now you have the venue thing. You have ESPN Plus, which, by the way, people were complaining. Why am I paying for ESPN Plus if I can't get the DirecTV game? They're thinking because I get Plus, I should get that. There's no correlation there. You got to go to the Plus if you want to watch that.
And remember, they don't stream a lot of ESPN on ESPN Plus. They stream events. They stream games. Of course, most people are there for the games. But if you're trying to watch SportsCenter, for example, or if you enjoy Pardon the Interruption or a lot of the programs, they aren't there on ESPN Plus. You've got to be subscribed somehow, some way. We talked about Hulu. I mean, people's eyes are starting to glaze over with all the options. The only thing is, if you're paying for DirecTV, Mike, and you have a subscription and you're going to be out money if you cancel, you're frustrated right now because you couldn't see any of the college football Sunday night or Monday night. You can't see any of the U.S. Open tennis Sunday, Monday, or going on right now. You're going to miss out. Oh my God, you're going to miss out on the re-debut of Dancing with the Stars on ABC or American Idol or whatever else is on ABC. And then we come around to Monday Night Football on ESPN and ABC. And I still believe this will be resolved by the time we get to next Monday night. Final thought on this?
I think it will. However, I will not be shocked if ESPN just says, you know what? Let's just we're gonna launch our own thing. And to get people to go buy that, they need to get off of this. And this might be the first one that they say we're out on. Come to our new product when it launches. And not to mention, they think this venue thing's going to launch too. So you'll have another option to get ESPN that does not include having to go through DirecTV. Now, I know DirecTV pays them, but can they make the money off on the other side if they just pay them directly?
How many avenues do you have to try to make it? Okay, so
too many.
Too many. That's a good answer. So speaking of avenues and audience, college football. Let's get into this. What a massive start to the weekend. The triple header that ESPN/ABC ran. It was an ABC triple header Saturday that had Georgia whacking Clemson, Miami destroying Florida, and then Notre Dame is always a draw in prime time with the Northeast and the Upper Midwest. Notre Dame, Texas A&M. They ruled the day. In fact, the Georgia Clemson game had over 9.5 million viewers, and the Notre Dame Texas A&M game, the same thing, around 9 million viewers. They basically averaged around 9 million viewers for right around an 11-hour block of football from noon until 11. Soaring ratings. Not unsurprisingly, Mike. I can't say that this is a surprise, especially when you've got big-time brand names, Georgia, Clemson playing each other, the SEC with Florida playing Miami, and then Notre Dame is Notre Dame. Notre Dame can even be playing a bad school, a lesser-known school, and it's still going to get some audience, especially in prime time. College, and then the USC LSU game, DirecTV excluded, still had over 9 million people watching on Sunday night. So college football off to a smashing start. Thoughts on that, Mike Gill? Not a surprise.
Not a surprise, but I think it does show that, man, this college football, it's going to be interesting for all the people, myself included, that had problems with, not problems, but just don't like the way the conference alignments are. You know, you got USC, Washington, Oregon, they're all in the Big Ten, and we're like, this is ridiculous. You're just going to get bigger matchups now. So it just should set up for bigger matchups all throughout the season, more weeks of bigger matchups. And, you know, this whole thing, ESPN, ABC now has the SEC. That was a huge game, as you see the graphic on the screen. 6.6 million viewers for the SEC on ABC. First, that was the initial SEC broadcast there. But this Fox, NBC, CBS conglomerate of taking the Big Ten game and kind of putting one at noon, the big noon game, the other one at 3:30 on CBS, and then the primetime game on NBC. They're trying to do kind of like the NFL, where they get these different windows, noon games here, 3 o'clock game there, and the primetime game there. Last year, when they had that, those matchups were not very good. Now with the Big Ten expanding with 4 extra teams, it gives you a lot better matchups all the way throughout the day.
And by the way, on the graphic that we're seeing here on the video, I kind of oversold the average audience, but you do see that the Notre Dame, Texas A&M peak audience was over 9 million. The Georgia Clemson audience over 9 million. And again, even the Miami blowout with Florida averaged over 6.5 million people watching. But you make a great point. So like for this week, Fox has got the big noon kickoff game, and that's Texas and Michigan. You would have to think that's going to probably end up ruling the day.
That's a game, TJ, that would not have happened. You know, maybe Texas obviously went to the SEC, but you're getting bigger matchups almost every week now.
So you have that on Fox. Then the afternoon game on CBS is Iowa State. Not bad. It's a Big Ten second choice game. But then the primetime game on NBC is Colorado, Deion Sanders, and Nebraska. And we know that's going to get 7 or 8 million people guaranteed in primetime on network TV. So you make a great point.
How much longer for the Colorado until that rubs away?
I don't know. Again, I did not see the official number for their debut game on Thursday night, but I have to believe it was north of 4 or 5 million people, something like that. We'll see how long Colorado and Deion Sanders stay relevant, but that's the primetime game on NBC for the Big Ten package. So college football soaring. Again, the LSU Southern Cal game, close game. Very exciting. 2 brand names. And I know the point you want to make is somebody's missing out on taking advantage of Labor Day Sunday and or Labor Day with more football, right? We can kind of just lead right into that you see how well that game did on Sunday night.
Yeah, this is a big one for me. I think Sunday missed opportunity for college football to have an all-day schedule. They could have had another window, noon, 3, 7, 10 of college football games. Instead, they gave you one that day on Sunday. Now, you might say, well, everybody's at the beach, everybody's here. Look what the ratings were Saturday. You could have had a similar type of situation on Sunday and, quite frankly, Monday. Nobody took it. College football had one lousy game on last night, Florida State, Boston College. Meh. If you're the NFL, why not kick your season off on Monday night instead of Thursday night? If you're Major League Baseball, the Phillies did not play yesterday. You had multiple teams that did not play on Labor Day. They also did this on the 4th of July, and they did this on Memorial Day. How is Major League Baseball? We talked about it last week right here on Last Word on Sports Media. I said somebody should own an afternoon. If you're the NBA, grab Wednesday afternoon and make that your thing. Every Wednesday, we have live games. For Major League Baseball to not go with their partners and say, get us on all day, Labor Day, Monday, is asinine. And for college football to not jump in on the Sunday window or the Monday window or both and have games. You had games all day Saturday. You couldn't have moved them and filtered them throughout the weekend. Total missed opportunity.
I agree.
From all of these leagues.
I guess part of the argument is if you're playing on Sunday or playing on Monday, it's a shorter week than next week for college coming this week. But some of them do that anyway if they're playing on a Thursday. A lot of times they do have a bye, but I can understand that argument with college players versus the NFL playing on a shorter week. But still, you could play Sunday and then play again the following Saturday. That happens.
Not only
sometimes.
that, college football, there's so many opportunities for buys. I think most teams get 2 buys anyway.
Correct.
So if you play like Boston College and Florida State played last week in Dublin, by the way. They came back and played on Monday night.
And now they get a bye. They do get a bye. Florida State does.
And you could schedule these teams to have the bye this week if there was 4 games. 4 games is all you're asking for. Maybe 4 or 5 games. Probably 4. A noon, a 3:30, a 7, and then your late night West Coast.
Right. All right. So we're playing amateur program executives and network executives, but somebody's missing out on the opportunity. And by the way, the NFL played for decades Labor Day weekend, Sunday and Monday night with Monday Night Football. It was all the way through the mid-1990s. And the NFL more than likely will go back to playing Labor Day weekend when they go to an 18-game schedule, trying to cram as much in as they can before February and the Super Bowl. So when the 18-game schedule is coming, look for the NFL to be the team that you're talking about that fills the void and says, we're going to play all day Sunday and we're going to have a Monday night game as well. They've kind of set the table for that. Again, it's the last word on sports.
And by the way, how baseball doesn't have a full national schedule yesterday is
with national TV games. Same thing.
All day. Hey, one of our partners, ESPN, you got 15 different partners. Peacock, Roku, somebody.
TBS. Yes. The Food Channel
Apple
with Rachel
TV
Ray.
Plus.
By the way, like to joke.
Apple TV Plus. I know this is off the ledger here. Did you watch the Netflix special of Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi?
That was on for Labor Day without your Major League Baseball. I did not see it. I'm aware Joey Chestnut, who lives in the Tampa Bay area most of the time, I'm aware that am I correct? 83 vegan hot dogs. 83 vegan hot dogs because it's the new sponsor.
No. They were not vegan hot dogs.
I thought it was vegan.
No, that was why. So that was the whole story of why he was out of the Nathans, because he signed a deal with a vegan company. So Nathans banned him. I will tell you this. I met Joey. I hung out with him for a whole day at the Super Bowl. We hung out for about 3 hours. Great guy. I actually was texting with him a little bit before this event. And he had kind of told me back in February that he was, hopeful to have something with Kobayashi, but he wanted to be in the Nathans. He was trying, all that stuff. So this was ballpark Franks. They weren't Nathan's hot dogs. They were ballparks, but this was a whole Netflix thing. It was like an hour and 15 minutes. Rob Riggle was the host, and they had Chris Rose doing the play-by-play with Kerry Champion, and then they had Tim Janis, who was known as Eater X, doing the analyst work. It was a whole production. It was
What scares me is you not only knew this was on, but you knew who all the announcers were about
I watched
sports
it
media.
yesterday.
This is beautiful. So Netflix, you think, scored at least some audience because we didn't have football, we didn't have baseball, but we had hot dog eating with Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi.
Well, the thing with the Netflix, it was 3:00. It was a weird time. And by the way, it's on there now. You can watch it at any time you want. That's the thing with Netflix. Once it's done, now that was a live. People keep talking about is Netflix. They got the Black Friday game this year. Are they going to go into more live sports? There was no glitches yesterday. There was no problems with the live broadcast. But with something like this, if you didn't watch it at 3:00 live, you can watch it tomorrow night.
Right. On demand.
Later. I'm very interested to see how this went. To see if they continue to go. Everybody wants to know, is more streaming happening? Well, did Netflix hit a home run with this yesterday or not? We shall see.
Voice of Mike Gill, TJ Rives with you. If you're only hearing us on the Last Word on Sports Media podcast, come find the video version on social media, YouTube. Help us grow the show. Share it out. We stream it live on Tuesdays, mid-morning. Typically, it's going to be out on Tuesdays, going over the media topics. By the way, the Last Word on Sports Media Daily underway now. Every day you'll get a daily 6 or 7 minutes of the top sports stories, in addition to live show, interviews, podcasts. Be with us on the podcast feed for the LWOS Media Daily here on this podcast feed, Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, if you're getting us on the podcast. Live show, if you're seeing us, make sure you follow and subscribe on the podcast. And by the way, you see our sponsor down below here. One of our sponsors here on the Last Word on Sports Media podcast is Ticket Smarter, the Ticket Smarter mobile app. If you want to go to any of these games, we were mentioning the Chiefs opener coming up with the Baltimore Ravens. If you're trying to get to Sao Paulo, Brazil, I hope you already have your tickets for Eagles and Packers. I'm speaking Mike's language now for Friday night. But any of these games, my Buccaneers, I got the BUCCANEERS Go Bucks hat on here on the live video show. Buccaneers playing the Commanders this weekend. Tom Brady's debut that we're going to talk about in a few moments is Cowboys, Browns in Cleveland. If you're trying to go to any of these NFL games, any of the big college games, use Ticket Smarter. Use the Ticket Smarter mobile app. Why? They have the most competitive prices on the secondary market. Their algorithms are tremendous on you getting the best price on the secondary market for the best seats. Your purchase is safe and secure, and we've got a promo code that is LWOS20. If you are spending $300 or more, which Mike Gill, if you're trying to get into the Chiefs opener with the Baltimore Ravens at Arrowhead and get a couple of seats, you're not getting in for under $300 for the opener. The two-time Super Bowl champs are going to raise the banner and the whole thing. Use the promo code LWOS and save $20. Use that promo code as much as you want. Again, Texas, Michigan this week in college football. The Browns, Cowboys. The Cowboys are always a huge draw. If you're on the secondary market for Colorado, Nebraska, for any of these different college or NFL games, or really anything in sports or live events, use Ticket Smarter, the Ticket Smarter mobile app, and the promo code is LWOS20, the number 20, LWOS20 for $20 off a purchase of $300 or more. Think smarter, Ticket Smarter. Get in the game with Ticket Smarter, the Ticket Smarter mobile app. We love it. LWOS20 is the promo code. We've got a few minutes left. Speaking of Tom Brady, big debut for him, NFL on Fox coming Sunday. Long-awaited debut, 2 years in the making in the booth for Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns on Fox. Now, what's interesting in my world, Mike, is I'm working the Buccaneers Washington Commanders game at the exact same time. So I'm going to have to record and relive whatever Brady's saying at the same time on the same network, because we're working that afternoon on Fox, Buccaneers and Commanders. What are your thoughts, though, including what's now out there, that because of his ownership situation with the Raiders, he can't be in the production meetings, he can't be really honing in on anybody's facility or whatever, because he essentially is part owner of the Raiders. What do you make of all this, including the Brady debut, Mike Gill?
Definitely think it adds a challenge to the whole thing. The preparation that Brady is known for is now lessened by not being able to be a part of this. I definitely think, I don't want to say it takes a hit to his abilities, but for him not to be able to go in there and talk to starting quarterback and just kind of, throw ideas around and ask questions and have those extra nuggets for the broadcast, he might be great but it's not going to allow him to be the best version of himself with these restrictions, and that's unfortunate.
And it's not to say that he can't have an individual conversation. Let's say if he wanted to talk to Dak Prescott, he could get in touch with Dak Prescott and talk to him. But what they're saying is that when Kevin Burkhardt and the producer and the director and all the people that come, and Aaron Andrews and Tom Rinaldi, and they sit in the Cleveland Browns facility or they sit at the hotel with the Cowboys, he's not allowed to be there for all of that because of his ownership. So this is a fascinating twist on him having to do extra prep outside. And plus, these other teams are saying, you're not going to come into our facility and look around and see our stuff and try to hobnob with our guys maybe and poach a free agent. I'm not saying you would do that, but there's definitely some speculation that you're allowing him to go where other owners would not typically be allowed to go during a season to do this. Let's bring it back to, I've been asking a lot of people this. He does his first game. He's done some rehearsal games. How good do you think he's going to be in this opener Sunday afternoon on Fox?
Excellent. I think he'll be excellent. I really do. I mean, I don't think Brady's going to do something where he's going to look like a fool. I think Brady is so calculated, so well prepared. That's what he was known for. He wasn't the greatest of all time by many accounts because he had a great arm or that he had great elusiveness or he had great speed. He was the greatest of all time because of his preparation, his will to win, and his knowledge of the game. He said it in podcasts. I was overly prepared. That's what made me great, not because I had a great arm. I think that's what will come out in the booth as well. I think you're going to get treated to, when has the greatest player of all time been the guy in the booth telling you what he sees? Very, very rarely. And those people have person. Joe Montana did it. He wasn't great in the booth. Brady, a different character.
Montana, you're being kind. You're being kind. Montana was awful in the studio back in the day in the 90s when he segued off of his playing days. It's not easy. Magic Johnson tried it for a little while. Michael Jordan never tried it. Michael Jordan has never sat and been the lead analyst on anything.
Or any analyst.
While we cross over sports, it's a very difficult thing to do. And it's interesting because they're going to work a lot of Cowboy games. This just in. Fox shows a ton of he's going to probably work 7 or 8 Cowboy games at least. So if the Cowboys are bad on Sunday, how critical will he be in broadcast 1 and game 1, knowing he's got to be around all of that coming up? So that's fascinating. You've got all these broadcast debuts. I wonder, we have it up on the screen on Last Word on Sports Media podcast. Caitlin Clark and the WNBA have enjoyed a tremendous summer of growth, of TV ratings. Once again, she was playing earlier this week, and the audience is consistently 1 million. Network TV, 2 million watching. Do you think with the start of football, Mike Gill, that this is now going to fade with Caitlin Clark? What do you think?
I got to imagine if they're going up in the same windows of NFL games, they're just going to have – there's no way they can continue. I am honestly a little shocked at how well the league as a whole, forget the Caitlin Clark games, the non-Clark games are also doing well in the ratings. I was a little surprised by that, and I also felt that after that Olympic break that people, out of sight, out of mind, that might hurt them, and it didn't so much. So this has been a great, great story, but the schedule moving forward, are they going to be playing in Sunday windows? This week, you had Sunday games. Like next Sunday coming up, you got an Indiana Fever game at 4:00 on a Sunday up against the Dallas Cowboys.
Good luck. Good luck on that.
Right, that's a tough one.
But, I'm one of those that believed, it's easy to say now, but I believed it and said it all along, that all boats were going to rise with the tide and there would be more interest. But clearly she's the catalyst. It's been a tremendous story. I just wonder, forget about the back burner. Is it going to be off the stove? Is it going to be out of the kitchen?
By the way, the following week, the first game is Dallas, Indiana, 3:00. They have 3 games in the 3:00 window and 3 games in the 6:00 window. It's a tough ask.
You're talking about on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah. This Sunday coming up, you got games next. You have a full schedule every Sunday. And if you're going in the middle of the games, you're not even starting ahead of them. Like, say you started at noon. Okay, right. It's noon. I put the game on, and then I forgot about the NFL because this game has got me. No, you're trying to get people to leave a football game to go here. I don't know that works out. If I'm the WNBA, I'm picking Tuesdays, I'm picking Wednesdays, and I'm loading those nights. By the way, Next Wednesday, no games at all. It's the one day of the week you want games on.
They should be playing. They got to redo the schedule. And they understand they have kind of a niche audience that maybe is going to watch them that doesn't watch football all the time. But football is such a Godzilla, including the NFL with fantasy football, legalized gambling. It's going to be tough. All right. As always, I want to put it to Mike Gill. Final thoughts here. Did we leave anything else out with our segment, our back and forth? We covered DirecTV, the college football ratings explosion for the start of the year. How will Tom Brady do? Anything else that we left out real quick, my friend?
Not really. I thought interesting story today. You saw Jason McCourty is going to be with ESPN. He's also in the CBS studio show. So CBS letting him go to ESPN to appear a couple days. You're seeing more and more of this where people are on multiple networks. The McCourty brothers have done a lot of Westwood One radio. I think that's something to continue to see.
Kenny Albert is an example of doing play-by-play on multiple networks and has for many, many years, whether it be Fox's baseball and NFL, but he also does TBS hockey. He's done things on NBC with hockey before, so he's kind of crossed over to different networks. So
I bring this up because of this whole NBA thing. And when this thing kind of comes, what's going to happen with the Kevin Harlans and the Iron Eagles who do stuff for CBS football? Are they going to be able to go to an NBC platform for basketball? Are they going to be able to go to Amazon Prime? So the precedent is set that some networks will let you cross and do multiple things. That's going to be kind of because, look, all these media rights are kind of off the table now. The UFC is the next big one. Everything else is kind of locked in. Now the announcers who lose those networks, will they be allowed to go to other networks? I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we get ready for the fall of 2024.
That's the voice of Mike Gill. TJ Rives with you. Again, we've been doing the live stream on Tuesday of the video version of this show. Again, if you're hearing us on the podcast, thank you. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're subscribing here. Mike, I always love it with you. They need to be hooked in with you. Mike Gill's show. Also, your local show in Atlantic City, the Afternoon Sports Bash on the ESPN radio affiliate in the Philly, Atlantic City market. I always love chopping it up with you, brother, on the Last Word on Sports Media podcast, Mike.
Yep, this is a passion. I love talking about this kind of stuff and look forward to growing this show and obviously having the people out there be a part of it.